Hey YouTube, alright, today's video is on how to check piston protrusion. And this is a little bit of a special video for me because this is specifically for a friend of mine in the Philippines. He and his family are missionaries down there and they're having some vehicle trouble with their van. It's a Hyundai van. It has a D4CB diesel engine in it and I have no idea what that is. We don't have those here. I've never heard of it, I've never seen one. And so I'm trying to give them the best hand that I can through WhatsApp and phone calls and stuff like that. It's been kind of fun, but it's been a real challenge. But the thing is, this is the kind of stuff I do every day, and so I can make videos like this to show these guys exactly what they have to do, including you guys. And I can kind of show people what us mechanics do and how to do these things right. And why that's important, let me do a little explaining about the Philippines. So I'm learning that in the Philippines, if you have an engine that is rebuilt, that engine is considered junk. Nobody wants a rebuilt engine. Rebuilt engines are junk. And we're starting to, or at least I am starting to understand why. For example, when my friend goes to a mechanic's shop or a machine shop, the first thing he checks for is if they're wearing shoes. Because apparently the guys that don't wear shoes, that's about the kind of work they do. And I guess that kind of makes sense. So things are a little different over there. There's a lot of making do with what you have. They don't have all the fancy stuff like we get to deal with here. Even their machine shops, like I mean, respectfully, it seems like they hardly know how to grind valves on a head, let alone do actual machine work. So we've been working through a lot of challenges. And we're up to the point now where we need to check piston protrusion. And so they took it to I don't know if it was a mechanic shop or a machine shop, but they went to a shop like that anyway that should know what they're doing. And they were using a dial indicator setup like this to check piston protrusion. And that isn't necessarily wrong. This is technically not the right tool for the job. But if you use it correctly, it could work. But what they had done, I'll show you a picture here. Okay, so in this picture you can see the dial indicator and the arms, and it looks like the dial indicator was magneted to the side of the block. Now, where that becomes an issue is that these arms on dial indicators are not really designed to pivot and swivel. I mean, you can have them loosened off a little bit and then you can move them around. That does work. But there's nothing stopping that arm from going up or down when you turn it. And any of you that have any experience with stuff like this, any shaft, whether it has threads or not, if you turn it, it always tries to move one way or another. So, not saying that it can't be done that way, but it's not going to be as accurate as it should be. But there is a way that you can use it properly. Another thing is when this thing is sitting on the side and you have at angles like this, and then when you move it across the block like that, it changes the geometry of your angles, and that changes where the needle sits in relation to the gauge, which gives you false readings as well. So it's not a good idea to do it that way. And that's a little bit the way a lot of stuff is done there. You know, for example, the one guy was saying that, you know, you need to know your piston protrusion to determine what head gasket you have. And one of the fellows there was saying, oh, he just looks at it and then he knows which one. Well, there are 3 options for head gaskets, and they're all about 2.5 thou difference. Man, if you can look at something and judge 2.5 thou, you got pretty good eyes, I gotta tell you. But this engine that we're working on down there, it's been rebuilt already by mechanics, and it lasted about 3 months. And that's kind of the reputation that rebuilt engines have. And that bugs me, because when things are done correctly, there's no need for that. A rebuilt engine can be made better than it ever came from the factory if you do things correctly and pay attention to all the details. And so that's what we're trying to do today. We need to get their engine measured up. That's not this one, but this one we're just doing it as an example. Need to get his engine measured up so they can determine the head gasket. And we have a problem with the number 2 piston on their engine. Looks like it's quite a bit lower than the rest, which may indicate a bent rod. Well, how'd that happen? Well, here's a little more to the story before we get into this. The engine was rebuilt already, about 3 months ago, or a little more than that now, I guess. And when he tore this engine down now the second time to do it himself, we found out that they didn't put the right pistons in. I'll throw up a picture of what they had for pistons in there. Okay, so here you can see the piston on the left is the new piston that the parts store was trying to give them. and the piston on the right is the one that came out of the engine. And let me zoom this in a little bit. So for one, you can see that the piston on the left has the valve reliefs in here, and the piston on the right does not. But what does the piston on the right does have? It does have, right there, an imprint of a valve. And that's why those reliefs are there. The clearance between the piston and the valve in some of these motors is just a few thou. It's not very much. So you cannot afford to have the wrong piston in there, which is exactly what this is. The piston on the right that they put in the last rebuild is not the right piston. It was just one that was the right size, and so they just said, oh, it'll work. Well, it doesn't quite work that way, guys. So we've got the right pistons in that motor now. That part is good. But now we want to check our protrusion and make sure that everything is lining up the way it should. And like I say, there's some concern on that number 2 cylinder. Now, piston protrusion refers to how high the piston sticks up past the cylinder deck. And on some engines, that can be really important. On this engine, you can see there are no valve reliefs in the piston. That's an indicator that we have a little bit of clearance between the valves and the piston when they're running up and down. So an engine like this, it's not as critical as one like that DC4B or D4CB. That one with the valve reliefs, that shows you that you have a very tight tolerance between those valves and that piston. So when you're trying to figure out how high the piston comes, that's to determine how thick the head gasket needs to be. If the piston comes up quite a ways past the deck, then you need a thick head gasket. If it only comes a tiny way past the deck, then you only need a thin head gasket. But the difference in those gaskets is only about 2.5 thou on that engine, so it's really important to get a good accurate measurement on that piston. So today I want to demonstrate how we can use a regular dial indicator to check piston protrusion if we do it right. And this is for beginners, guys, so hopefully you can give me a little grace for just being right down on the bottom step here, because we're trying to help out some guys here that haven't done this kind of stuff much before. All right, so the very first step, I think we'll start with the number 6 piston. The very first thing you need to do is get that piston right to the very top. And to do that, you don't need your dial indicator to be zeroed or anything like that. And that I want to mention too. This is my Philippines dial indicator. It's the junkiest one that I own. And I'm using this on purpose to show that you don't have to have a really expensive dial indicator. You just need something that's going to be accurate. Any of these cheap gauges will be close enough to do what we need to do here. Maybe not close enough for machining, but close enough for this. And like this one, for example, the reason why I don't use this gauge is because it's kind of sticky. And if you go a little bit too far, it jams and it gets stuck. That's not a good sign. See, I can't even get full travel out of it and it jams up. And I think it's because the shaft is bent. But the needle still works. So if we set it up right, it's going to work for this. So the first thing we got to do is we want to set our dial indicator up so that when this is sitting flat on the block, we have a little bit of travel in there. Let me move the camera around here so that this will make a bit more sense. All right, so that dial indicator on the bottom is machined to be very nice and straight. And if your deck is straight on your engine, then you have a really nice surface to work on. So what you want to do is you want to set it up so that your needle needs to have some movement in it to get up on your deck. Right? You see that? You got to have a little bit of distance there. And then you also, when it's all the way up, sitting flush like that, it needs to have some travel here as well. So that gets you in your window of movement on your gauge. That's very simple, very obvious stuff, right? So to check piston protrusion, the first step you need to do is make sure that your piston is right at the top, and you can't just eyeball that. So what happens when the piston goes up, the rod is at an angle. It comes up and then it swings over and then it comes back down. So you actually have a little period of time there where the piston is right at the top while the engine is turning and the piston is not moving, and we want to get it to that spot. So to do that is very simple. You set your dial indicator on the block where it can be nice and solid. See, I can wiggle it around and it doesn't move. It's not rocking anywhere. You're going to put your pin on your piston, and then you're going to turn that crank back and forth and just watch that dial indicator. All right, so I've just got 2 bolts in the flywheel, and just by putting my pry bar through like that, I can turn the motor that way, or I can go here and turn it the other way. So that's how I'm going to rock it back and forth. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn it one way, and we're just going to watch that dial indicator. And I'm just going to bump it. Okay, see, it's it's going down. That piston is going down right now. So now we're going to turn the motor the opposite direction, and we're going to go until that gauge stops moving. Oh, right there. See, now it's dropping down. So now I can go back again and find that sweet spot of where I can move the motor a little bit, but the gauge doesn't move, right there. So I moved the motor a bit, but the gauge didn't move. So that tells me that that piston is exactly at the top now. So now we need to check our actual piston protrusion. To do that, we have to zero that gauge out. Now you want to set this thing up so that you've got 90-degree angles, and that way, it's just the way the geometry is, that needle can move exactly up and down, not at an angle this way or that way, because that will change your reading. This is just as close as you can get it, right? So you want 90 degrees or close. This isn't perfect, but it's very close. And you want those knobs all tight so that none of this can move while you're fooling with it. Then you're going to set this up somewhere where it's nice and flat and where you've got a bit of movement like this, yeah? And you always check your protrusion in line with your pin bores, because there's a little bit of play in your cylinder where the piston can move. So it can rock from side to side, but it can't rock from front to back because the pin runs this way. So imagine if this 855 Cummins piston is sitting in that liner, there's a little bit of clearance between the piston and the wall. There has to be. So this piston can rock like this a little bit in there. And if you look at the leverage from the center to the outside, you don't have to move that very much, and you're moving quite a bit on the ends. So you don't want to measure out here, you want to measure where the pins are, because if you get right in the center, that doesn't really change as you rock it. The center kind of moves from side to side, but it doesn't lift as much as on the outside, so that's the most accurate you can get. That's why you have to measure it across, I guess, horizontal with the pin bores. Okay, so you want to get your base sitting where it's nice and flat, where it doesn't rock around too much. And then you want to zero your indicator. So that's right there. And then you're just going to lift this up, and you're going to slide it on top of your piston right in line with that pin bore, where your wrist pin would be. And that's going to be your reading right there. So what do we got? We got 34 thou right there. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're just going to move it over here. We're going to double check that we're still zeroed. Yes, we are. You're going to slide this over, and you're going to check it right over top of the pin bore. And we got 20.5 thou. And so that is how you use the incorrect tool to do this job. Now, why that's important is because in the Philippines, you don't just walk up to Walmart and pick yourself up a deck bridge like that. Now, a deck bridge is a specific tool for checking piston protrusion and liner protrusion. That's the only thing it's for. It doesn't do anything else. A dial indicator with a stand like this, especially if you have a magnetic base that's turning on and off like this one does, you can use it for a lot of stuff. You can do piston protrusion, liner protrusion, you can check your camshaft end play, you can check your crankshaft end play, all kinds of stuff. Gear lash, you use it to check gear lash. So this is a good tool to have, and it's really common. This should be a lot easier to find in the Philippines than something like this. Now, the issue with the way the other guys did it was not the tool, it's the way they used it. So what do you say we verify that now with the actual deck bridge and see how close we were? And get this thing lined up here. Something like that. We're going to zero it out, and we're going to move it onto the piston. And where are we at here? So we had 34 thou before, this is 38.5. So we're like almost exactly right. So using the wrong tool the right way is within half a thou of using the right tool. So that was the whole point of this video, was to show exactly how to do the piston protrusion. We're going to do the same thing on all those cylinders now, and then you're going to take the average, and that's going to help you in selecting your head gasket. So there you go. That's how you check piston protrusion. I hope you got something out of that. In the Philippines, it's really hard to find a shop or somebody that actually knows how to do that properly. So I hope that's going to be helpful for my friend in the Philippines. I hope it was helpful for you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one.